Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to get started with our August Community Update. Welcome. My name is Alicia Grady. I'm Chief of Armed Forces Community Service. We have several of our Joint Base leadership that is not here. They're either on vacation or in transition. It's that time of the year. And so I'm just going to take over and we're going to get moving on. So here's our agenda today. Obviously, Colonel Morgan is not here. So here are the things that we're going to brief this morning for you. And as Steve said, please, if you have any questions, wait for the microphone because we do videotape this so that you can see it after the fact. And for those that aren't here in attendance, they have the ability to watch as well. One thing I want to quickly point out, while the sign-in roster is going around, please make sure you update your contact information on the roster. If you know folks that are on the roster that are no longer here, please cross their name out. And if there is someone that is not on the roster from your unit that should be, please add their name. And if you have their contact information, that will be helpful. One of the things we always put on the table is a feedback form. So if you please would complete this before you leave it on the table and we will have someone pick them up. There's also a lot of other information on the table for you to take. So please just check out what you have on your table. So first up will be me. As a reminder, these are the Joint Base priorities and how all what we do with the Senior Mission Commander priorities tie into the community update, and we bring you information that we think is relevant to you that ties into the Senior Mission priorities. So in September, we have suicide prevention and awareness coming up. Here are some of the activities that are taking place across the installation during the month of September. We are working in partnership with First Corps, with 7th ID, with 593rd, and some of the other, with Madigan, and some of the other units on base to help support that. Please note that suicide prevention awareness should not just be the focus of September. We should focus on this all year round. And so if there are other programs, services, things that our folks can provide to you from the Joint Base perspective, we offer various classes. We can come out and do talks to your units, provide classes, those kind of things. Please reach out to us, and not just in September, but all year long, because we are here to support you throughout the entire year. So this is what's going on. I'm not going to go through every single one of these. The information will be out in singular flyers for each of these events, but we wanted to just kind of capture everything on one slide for this morning's presentation. And so up next will be Don for housing.
Hey, good morning. Hope everybody's having a good day. So I wanted to do today was just to give you an update on where we are in the transition process with Lincoln Military Housing. This is now the third month. We're in the 90-day window, and so just to let you know that the corporate name changed, but the Lewis-McChord communities did not change. So we went from Equity to Lincoln Military Housing, which is very prominent on the West Coast. They have a lot of Navy and Marine Corps bases on the West Coast, so that's good for us because they're close to us. So the day-to-day stuff pretty much stayed the same. Your leases are still the same. Everything that was under Lewis-McChord communities is still the same. The day-to-day stuff for housing rules and policies did not change because those were under Lewis-McChord communities. And I'll put a plug in here for the renter's insurance because there was a little hiccup on renter's insurance. And what I mean by that is last year when the Department of the Army and DOD took the renter's insurance out of the component of BAH, and now it's just your rent and your utilities, everybody was forced to get renter's insurance for their home. Well, everybody went and got renter's insurance, and as with most things, after 1 year, they lapse. And so if you didn't renew your renter's insurance, or you renewed it and you didn't provide Lincoln with a copy of your new updated renter's insurance, you'll get a forced policy. So what I would ask you to do is make sure that your service members, if they've gotten renter's insurance, please provide Lewis-McChord communities with a copy of the updated policy. They will then reverse all the charges for the forced policy because there's still a requirement to have $100,000 worth of coverage on the dwelling units itself. And I'll put the plug in there. Always make sure that you can, for a very, very nominal fee, you can cover your personal property. So the renter's insurance, if you get the requirement, only covers the dwelling units itself and not your personal property. Next slide, please. Okay, so where did we have problems? With most things, when you have a large corporation, when they swap out, you have some glitches. and one of the glitches was in our data transfer. We went from RealPage, is what Equity used, to Yardi. Some of you may know this. This is a very prominent computer program that's used for the management of properties. And when they transferred the data from one server to the other, they lost data and had data that was a little bit messed up when it came to work orders, service orders, maintenance issues, recurring maintenance that they had programmed in the system. No personal data, so nobody's personal data was ever touched. But because of that, there were service orders that were missed, there were work orders that were not done, they were not closed out. And us on the government side, we caught that, we brought that issue up to Lincoln. Lincoln has since, over the last 60 days, corrected that issue. They've gone back in and closed out the service orders and the work orders. And so if you have a service order or work order that was submitted but didn't get closed out, or the work didn't get done, what I would ask you to do is reach back out to your community, what's now called the district, for your neighborhood, and they will get it back in the system. You can also go online, next slide please, and you can go to the Lincoln site and you can register for an online username and password where you can submit your service orders online, kind of like we do for Public Works. Lincoln's military housing website is there as well. You can go to that and you can see all the listings for them and also sign up for or get on a waiting list for a specific neighborhood. One thing I'd like to point out is you'll see on their website they did make some changes. We went from having community centers to district, so now we'll always be saying go see your district manager. That's the same place. Just go to the community center and see them. So if I don't have any questions on the housing piece, I'll move on to the one last piece. Okay, good. Next slide, please. I'm happy to announce that under the hotel portion, because we, as the government, we have the responsibility for oversight of the hotels, both the Rainier Inn, the Evergreen Inn, and Bronson Hall, for management and oversight of that. And the Rainier Inn is getting ready to go under a large renovation. And they're going to start with building 2011, and it's going to take place in about mid-September of this year. And so what's good about that is they're going to, when they start that renovation, they're going to sell all of the furniture that is currently in the hotel. And so there'll be 3 separate sales. First one starting with building 2111. It'll be a buy room sale. It'll be a cash and carry sale. So in other words, you buy, if you want to purchase something in the room, you buy the entire room, to include the lamps, the dresser, the bed, the pictures on the wall, everything that is in the room for a nominal fee. All of the money that is made from the sale of this furniture will be donated to the Fisher House. As you know, ISG is a good supporter of the Fisher House. They give a tremendous amount of money every year to the Fisher House, and this is just another way where they can do 2 things. 1, service members can get really good furniture at a really, really nominal fee, and 2, they'll be able to provide a substantial amount of money back to the Fisher House to support our troops. So it'll be in September. When we get the rest of the data of when the sale is going to be, when the times will be out, we will have that posted in the Northwest Guardian. We will put it on the Facebook site. We will put it out through command channels, and we will also have it on the housing website. So that's a good thing for service members. So pending any questions, I'll be followed by, yes ma'am.
When you all did, when actually the housing unit, or I should say, wasn't IHG, but anyway, the place next to, on Stryker, the building, it was also a, I suppose, a visitor's quarters. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Well, anyway, when that went up for sale, or they were selling furniture, they also sold individual pieces. They had 2 rooms of things that they were selling separately, not a whole room. Would that still be the case?
Correct. That's a great question. Thanks, Ms. Alonzo. So what's going to happen is the theory is that they want to sell the rooms as a whole. As they go through that process, if the rooms don't start, if they still have rooms left over at the end of the sale or toward the end of the sale, then they'll take the items and sell them separately. So that they'll have an opportunity where if you don't want to purchase the whole room, you can then turn around and try to, at the end, try to purchase individual items like a desk or a dresser or a bed or a TV stand, something of that nature. So any other questions? All right, thank you. I'll be followed by PW.
Hi, I'm Steve Perno. I've been asked to give a AFES construction update, so that's what I'm going to do before I get to the pictures here, and I'm an engineer, so there's a series of 4 pictures, no words. On the exchange, on the Lewis Exchange, it will start a major expansion and renovation next summer. Currently, it's about 141,000 square feet, and it's going to go to 250,000 square feet. So if you're looking at the Exchange at Lewis in the front door, that will come way out, and then on the left side, it's going to be expanded also. And that'll take about 2 years. A year after that starts, we'll talk about the entertainment center. This will start in the summer of 18, and it'll take about 2 years. Let me show you where you are, and it's called the entertainment center. This is 14th Street, and this is where the gazebo is and the old roller skating rink. So you're kind of standing on Pendleton and 14th Street on a street light looking down. And this is what an architectural rendition of this looks like. Burger King is sitting right over here today. As you can tell, there's going to be a movie tavern. The big one up in the upper right. That's where the car wash is today. It's going to have 9 to 11 theater screens. And it'll be a movie tavern where you can go sit down and they'll come and take your order for food and drinks. There will be a number of restaurants. Most of these will be, the other buildings mostly will be restaurants. There'll be about 8 to 12, depending on the size of each of the restaurants. And what they have is there's 3 levels of restaurants that I'm learning. There's fast food, obviously, from Burger King. And then there's the middle type where you go with the tray, like a Chipotle's and stuff. And then there's a sit-down restaurant. They will have the Chipotle-like where you go with the tray and sit down, and there'll also be a full-service restaurants in there. Again, between 8 to 12, depending on the size of what goes in there. I cannot tell you what they are because I don't know who they are. There'll be letters of intent as they get closer. AFES will get with other, with the vendors, and they will do that. They said they're working on the same that Fort Bragg is working on now. I don't know. I don't have that list, but I can find that out. Next slide, please. Again, this is on the upper, the big white building in the back. That's the current Exchange. So you're kind of standing on top of the gazebo over there by the skating rink. As you can tell, there will be a theater. That's a made-up name. They just kind of said it will be grand. So don't take any of these names. And again, that's what it looks like from that end, looking north, basically. And if you go to the next slide, please. Here you're standing on top of Burger King, okay? And you're looking through there. You're looking across where the car wash is today, and you'll have the theater and the restaurants in the forefront. And if this thing would work right there, you see these 2 people right there. Okay, next slide. Those are the 2 people right there. You're kind of down on the ground now looking toward where the car wash is, and you have a theater and restaurants. The intent, there's bollards on the streets, so what we can do is we can close up the streets to all kinds of vehicles and make it just pedestrian only and just have a great 4th of July party or whatever you want to do, and that would be all up to AFES, and MWR can get involved. Again, this will be 2 years starting in 2018, a year after the Exchange starts, and this will be finished in 2 years. Should be some exciting times around 2018, 2020, as we have a downtown area for JBLM. Are there any questions? Thank you very much. Now will be followed by.
Thanks.
Okay, Antoinette?
Good morning. I'm Antoinette Walker. I'm a school liaison officer. So school will be starting with Clover Park on the 31st of August. So summer is almost over. And the other districts will be starting soon after that, some the 7th of September, some the 9th. And for new students, we have what you should have to register. So these are the items that have your housing contract, immunization records, and the last report card. Also, most schools will have the meet and greet, so that's the time where you meet the teachers, you see the classrooms. So we ask all parents to attend that. And then the first day of school, you know how you get all these papers and information. We ask that you complete those papers and return them back to the school as soon as possible. And we just ask that you ensure that your children get plenty of sleep before the first day of school. You know, it's exciting, but we want them to be prepared for the first day of school. So any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, up next, Colonel Place from Madigan Army Medical Center.
Thanks. Good morning. Why don't you go to the next slide? For those of you who are used to filling out surveys for us, anybody ever get those in the mail or maybe emails if you're active duty? Okay, those are called the Army Provider Level Satisfaction Survey, what we affectionately refer to as APPLES, right? Your APPLES survey, you may have heard your provider talk about that or seen something in one of the hospitals you've been to. It's got an apple, and that's the symbology we've been using. Well, APPLES is about to be done. Actually is done. We're now using what's called JOES because we've gone from an Army system to a joint system. So now we have JOES. So it's almost identically the same survey. It's just a different name. So I just bring this up because people are used to filling out their surveys. Well, please do the same for us. As many of you know that we use those surveys. In fact, we use them a lot. For those of you who don't know, we've just set a record for patient satisfaction in our emergency department, highest it's ever been. We did some things internally to make sure that we were much more efficient. We had people working when you came to see us. I know, novel concept, but we actually did all the math and figured that out, that we weren't aligned to when the demand was. And so we made some corrections and go ahead and figure the time it took for you to get through the emergency room declined significantly and resulted in the highest patient satisfaction numbers we've ever had for emergency department. Very similar thing for inpatient. So we take your feedback, and one of the feedbacks that we got for people that were inpatients was that the hospital is a noisy place at night. That's right, there's people that are working 24/7. But if you're there and trying to recover from surgery or whatever other illness, it's important that you get some sleep. It's always difficult to sleep in a hospital. As a doctor, I can tell you that it is very hard to get sleep in the hospital being on call. Well, but the idea is we took that feedback from a system like this to find out that it's important, and we made some corrections, and we've recently had some dramatic changes in our inpatient satisfaction as well. So please, give us the feedback so that we can make it a better place for you. Next slide, please. It looks a little bit like this. The old one was, kind of a standard, looked like a bill almost when you got it. The new one's going to have this big blue stripe on it, maybe even purple. I don't know, I'm not good with colors. But it'll look a lot like this. This is an example that we've created for you just so you can see what it looks like. Please look at it. Let people know that we really want to have their feedback. Next slide, please. School time is here. School physical is here at JBLM. For all of our service member families, we go ahead and have you just see your primary care manager. We don't do the school physical roundup where we get a gym and all that sort of thing. Just go ahead and call and get an appointment. Okay, we have capacity to be able to see folks. Next slide. For those of you who might have family members that are new to the area, we have something that's called a school-based health system. The idea, as many of you know, is that this is what we're saying where the classroom is the waiting room. You can go ahead and half a day a week at these middle schools and high schools, we have providers go there so that you can have your child seen at the school. So you don't have to go there, pick them up, bring them in, wait in the waiting room, parking, get lunch, all that kind of stuff. They can go from the classroom to see their provider and back to the classroom. You have to sign some forms ahead of time to go ahead and release and say it's acceptable to you. The other thing that you get is a phone call from the phone number that you put on the form that says we will call you and tell you what happened at that encounter. Okay, so parents are kept in the loop on all of these encounters so you'll know what's going on with your child. So please help spread the word. If they have kids that go to any of these 7 schools, they're eligible for that program. A great convenience for everyone. Next slide, please. And lastly, that's kind of what it looks like. That's what we do. We try to make everyone just like that. Any questions for me? Please, ma'am. Please. Go ahead.
Do you sign up at the school for the school-based, or do you sign up with your PCM?
You can sign up at the school is how we prefer to do it, but you can also do it at Madigan. So wherever your clinic is, if your child is going to one of those schools, they're eligible. Please.
Will you have representatives at the back-to-school events where folks could sign up? So when they go to their, for example, my son goes to Mann Middle School, at the Mann Middle School Roundup, could there be someone there to help sign up?
Yeah, I don't know if we have lined it up or not. Jay, do you know?
We'll look at that, sir, and see if we can do that.
Okay, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I don't know if we've lined it up already or not. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, well, feedback is a gift. Please gift us with your feedback.
No, okay. So I know I will be Buck James today. Ha ha. It's an inside joke for the folks over on the table. So here are some of the key events and some things that are coming up that we always like to highlight for you so you know what's going on. We got a August 13th Grillin' and Chillin' Barbecue Competition at Freedom Park. Let's see. 25 to 28 August, we are the host of the Boy Scout Jamboree here on JBLM. And the air show, of course, is what everybody's talking about. We're going to have a separate, complete brief on that in just a minute. We are pleased to announce our second annual FRG FRL Leader Symposium on September 13th. So if you are part of that, we are going to have a little meeting after the community update with some of the senior folks sitting up here up front to talk about the agenda for that. Let's see, Oktoberfest. If you've never been to an Oktoberfest, I highly recommend it. It's awesome. Food is great, lots of music, lots of beer, big beers, really cool event at the MWR Fest tent. October 8th, the Zombie Apocalypse Fun Run, which is always a lot of fun, getting chased by zombies if you're into that. Let's see, October 31st through November 4th, fall cleanup. Check your local areas and information on how that happens around the area, either where you live or where you work. There'll be specific guidance sent out for that. And that pretty much wraps it up. And I think we have the air show brief. Yes, we do. Lieutenant Colonel Greenlee.
Thank you very much. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Greenlee, I'm the director of the JBLM Air Show and Warrior Expo. I'm running that on behalf of Colonel Morgan and Colonel Kaczynski and pretty much everybody else on the installation. So we are about 3 weeks out, so we're fairly busy right now. Free and open to the public, so we're going to have a lot of people coming onto the installation is the plan. We're hoping upwards to 100 to 150,000 people each day is kind of our planning factor. Whether we get there, we'll see that. Gates open at 9. Flying will be starting about 11 o'clock. We'll be wrapping up around mid-afternoon, and hopefully then we get everybody off the installation late afternoon, ideally. Headline acts are the U.S. Army Golden Knights as well as the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. We'll have a bunch of other aerial demonstrations, warbirds, other things going around. We'll have quite a few static displays so people can come out, meet the soldiers and airmen. We'll have Navy, Coast Guardsmen all across pretty much from the region, the area, but obviously with a very strong focus on what we do here at Joint Base Lewis-McChord. Something new this year is we'll also have a carnival. We haven't done that before, but part of the rationale on that is to try to give people something to do after the event's over. If you don't want to go sit in all the traffic and deal with the challenges of getting off of the installation, gives you something else to do. Vendors will still be open. Static displays will be available to be looked at as well until everything gets wrapped up. Next slide, please. So also new this year, we have, based on the feedback we got, it's been 4 years since we've actually done this event. So based on that feedback from some of the challenges of getting off of Joint Base Lewis-McChord, and it's going to be on McChord Field, of course, if I haven't made that clear, we've got a brand new traffic and parking plan. So as opposed to what we've done in the past where you just kind of open everything up, what we're trying to do this year, non-ID card holders, and I'll briefly hit this because that's not most of you in here, but the general civilian population, if you will, we are asking them to all come in, exit 125 through Bridgeport. They'll come in through the McChord Field main gate, and they'll be parking pretty much north of Joe Jackson Boulevard on McChord Field. And we're trying to get that primarily non-ID card holders, and this is the whole purpose of all this is the traffic outflow. So therefore, what we are asking of this audience is please park on Lewis Main. Madigan and the Logistics Center will have large parking areas there, and we're going to have upwards of 30 shuttle buses that will be running people from Lewis Main over the Unity Bridge, something new that we didn't have in the past. So over Unity Bridge, we'll be dropping you off basically at a parking area. You can see where the bus goes there, over on hangars 2 and 3. You will then get expedited entry into the venue. When all those people parking on that ramp up there will go through a separate entry point, they will have IDs scanned, they will have full bag checks, full security protocols pretty much there. For those who are ID card holders, we're treating it as a trusted traveler type of thing. So for the ID card holders and whoever's with them. So if you have friends from off base who you want to bring with you in your vehicle, obviously they would have to be in your vehicle, enter through those normal points up there, exit 119, 120, 122, 123, 124, those normal ways that you would get onto the installation. Take them, hop on the bus, and then it'll be expedited entry into the venue. You show your ID card, you say, these 3 or 4 or 5 people are with me, and you'll be expedited in the actual venue, so minimal lines. There may be some random checks, possibly, just depending on what's happening, so I don't want to say that won't happen, but that is the intent. So, you'll also have for the housing residents on McCord Field, you'll have, there'll be a bus picking up at Carter Lake Elementary, and that'll again get you to that same expedited entry. And then most importantly, what that provides is when the event is done, you go back out that same entry point you came in, you hop on a bus, 10 to 15 minutes later, we have you into those parking areas of the Logistics Center in MEMC, and then now you can flush out onto any of those exits onto I-5. So what we're trying to do is distribute that traffic down the I-5 corridor. There will be also other exit points that will be managed for the civilian population that's on base, and the security folks will be adjusting based on what's going on. So pretty much Barnes Boulevard and the main gate will be just pretty much one way in, and then once the Thunderbirds take off, we'll swap that to one way off of the installation. And then the north gate will be available as well, and then we'll have different things for DVs and other folks that are in here. We'll have provide that information. So that is the parking plan. So we just ask to really get that word out. Park on Lewis Main, take the shuttle buses coming over. That's going to ideally significantly reduce the time to get off the installation, not only for those who park in that remote parking, but also for the civilian guests who come on the installation. Next slide, please. This is a lineup of basically what we're going to have there. You can read all those things there. You can look at our website. It'll show you that. But again, the headline acts are obviously the Thunderbirds and Golden Knights. We'll have a number of other warbirds and demonstrations. C-17 demo, Joint Forces demo. Again, trying to showcase all of what Joint Base Lewis McChord, Army and Air Force brings to bear and share that with the public. And then a number of different static displays as well. Subject to change, of course. Next slide, please. And finally, I won't dwell on this because most people in this audience know, but this is what we're broadcasting out to the civilian population. Obviously, we have to tell them you cannot bring and if you're bringing friends on base, you cannot bring your marijuana that's now legal off base or what have you. I mean, that's a reality we have to contend with. It's not authorized on the federal installation, so something you can help get that word out. But pretty much make sure sun protection hats, all those sorts of things. Don't bring big coolers and breakables, all that. But you can see all that there, and details are available on our website, which is down at the bottom, jblmawe.com. And that should provide all the information there. That's all I have. Are there any questions? No, ma'am. So Friday night, just since that question, the question asked was, is a shuttle service operating on Friday night? No. Pretty much Friday night or Friday afternoon, pretty much from about noon through kind of the late afternoon, early evening, there'll be a performer, there'll be a practice show, basically. It's a rehearsal open to any ID card holders. Pretty much you'll come, park on the installation, enter, I believe, through gates, through between hangars 2 and 3. And we'll have the statics that are there will be manned and available, and you'll have not necessarily the complete lineup that we'll have on Saturday and Sunday, but we'll have a Thunderbird practice. You'll have the Golden Knights should be performing as well, and a number of other things on that day. But that's that no shuttle service, just park anywhere you would normally be able to park on McCord Field.
Hi, I have 2 questions kind of, and you sort of touched on one of them. It was going to be the day before the event, having the static displays. What time is that at for, like, the kids can go? On
Friday, yeah. ID card holders, the noon is when we're opening the gates for that event.
Okay, and then my second question is, the buses that are going to be shuttling DoD ID card holders, are they constantly en route, or
Yes.
are we stuck on that side?
No, it'll be a constant cycle throughout the entire day. Basically, we have 30 buses. They'll be running those paths, and they'll be running throughout the day on a pretty regular schedule. They'll plus up the schedule or decrease the schedule based on passenger load.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, well, we're looking forward to everybody coming. It'll be a great event, first time again in 4 years. So hope to be an awesome opportunity for the public to come in and see what we do, and for everybody on the installation to enjoy it as well. So thank you very much.
April?
Hey there, thanks so much for having me again this week. I'm going to come over here so I can see in my book if that's okay. I am April McClung. I'm the Spouse Club president. And if you don't know what the Spouse Club is, the Lewis Community Spouses Club, also known as the LCSC, is an all-ranked spouse club, and it's open to military spouses of active duty, reserve, National Guard, and retired persons. So we have a lot of things going on. Is there another slide? Okay, this is our lineup for this year. You also have cards on the table. I don't think I have enough for everybody to take one, but if you could take a snapshot with your smartphone, that would be great. I do have one date change. The holiday market on here is November 4th and 5th, but the correct date is on your table on the little postcard. We also have a lot of services. If you were here last month, I told you that our theme this year is Every Hand Helps. And so our goal, as always, is to give back. We are a nonprofit organization. So we have the Wear It Again boutique, and this is think of like a ball gown dress facility. We have several gowns. We have groups that come in and kind of have like a little party, come in and try on dresses, and they can borrow these dresses and just have them cleaned and bring them back to us. There's no fee for the dress other than the cleaning cost. We also have a cottage boutique that is going to be moving over next to the thrift store. This is a boutique. These aren't secondhand items. They are new, and we are gearing toward gifts for hails and farewells, JBLM, Washington type items. We also have a lending closet for any social functions that you might have. We have a small fee just to make sure we can upkeep those items. So we have things like tables, chairs, centerpieces. If you have borrowed our tables, you know they're a little rickety, and we're in the process of getting some new ones, so that's good news. Our calendar of events that you see up here, one of the important ones I want to point out, if you could go to the slide before this one. Thank you, is our super sign up. That's coming up very quickly. It's on the 18th of August. We also have our September 8th luncheon, our October 7th mock dining in. We will be announcing the theme of the mock dining in on August 8th, and that's something that we're hoping to get a lot of people interested in and excited about. And then obviously our holiday market is October 28th through the 29th, which is correct on your card, but not on the one that was before this. And that's all I have for today. We hope you can join us. I see a lot of familiar Spouse Club faces in the audience. I appreciate that. And I see some people I don't know, so we would love if you would join us. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, at this time I'd like to have Bill Adamson come up. He is from the South Sound Military Community Partnership, and he is going to do a presentation and explain a little bit about the survey that they had conducted.
Hello, my name is Bill Adamson. I'm the program director for this partnership here. It's called South Sound Military Communities Partnership. And just by show of hands, I know there's been a large turnover in the summer like there is every year, a lot of new leaders. How many of you were here that are active duty in 2013? Not too many. Okay, that's the last time we did a survey of the base, and it was focused on active duty. This year in 2016, we did a survey on all JBLM employees to include the DoD civilians and some of the contractors. We are also focused on active duty. We did that survey in June, and we've done these surveys every year since our organization was established, which was back in 2011. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the organization since a lot of you are new. Back when the DoD was making a decision to make a joint base, they funded a study called a Growth Coordination Plan. When I left Fort Lewis in the summer of 2000 as a major, we were converting a mechanized infantry brigade into a Stryker brigade, but there were less than 20,000 guys on the base. After 9/11 happened, we had all the deployments. The size of the base swelled to 46,000 active duty in around 2007, 2008. Since then, there was this growth coordination plan because as the base grew, there were a lot of stresses put on the social services that support the family members and the active duty on the base. So the healthcare system was struggling with all this influx of people. The public education system was struggling. The traffic congestion was going up. There's a lot of transportation problems on I-5. And there was a need for better regional collaboration. So in 2011, after this study had concluded, there was a coalition of the willing, mostly 14 municipalities that surround JBLM, formed SSMCP by a memorandum of agreement. And we did our first survey of JBLM active duty guys in 2011, our second one in 2013, and now we're doing one in 2016. This year, we don't have all the results in yet, but probably in a couple months, I should come back and give you the outbrief of what the survey results were. But 42% of our respondents were active duty and 38% were DoD civilians. So a little high mix of civilians this time, and to us, we think that's good because the DoD civilians tend to stay in the community much longer, and so they have better history with what's going on in the area where most of the active duty are rotating about 3 years out. So we had to incentivize the survey. I was on active duty for 30 years. I took a lot of surveys too, and a lot of people just trash them when they come in. But this year, we set them out at your mail.mil accounts. Air Force, Army, doesn't matter. Everybody in the Joint Service got this thing. We only got about 3,100 responses, but that's still pretty good. Of course, that was out of 40,000. But anyhow, we got about 3,000 responses. And to incentivize this year's survey, we offered 240 financial awards. We thank AAFES for giving us $1,000 and $25 gift certificates. We thank MWR for giving us 20% discount coupons. But SSMCP also put in $1,000. And we got some more of those AAFES gift certificates. And the big one is a $500 gift certificate. And today I'm here to present this gift certificate to Rafael Delgado Rivera, who's been working at Madigan in the blood bank since 1998. Come on up, Rafael. And he tells me he's never won anything before, so he took the day off just so he could get this thing. Now, that's just for the video camera there. Thank you very much. And here's the real certificate. And if you want to say anything, Rafael, please take your moment of glory here.
I'm going shopping after this, so anybody come along?
Thank you for your time.
Okay, before we do commander comments, I have a couple slides. And is Chaplain Powers still here? I'm here for you. Okay. So, did you want a quick talk about Feed the Feds?
Hi, good morning. Just real quick, I'm Chaplain Lee Harms for the Installation Chaplain's Office. We're doing a food drive this month for the Feds Feed Families. It's a great opportunity for us to build bridges with the community and also to help those in need. This time of year, a lot of the donations kind of decline, and so this is a great opportunity to help those that are in need of food. So we're accepting dry goods, anything that is not past the date already, canned dry goods at any of the chapels, and we're also picking up designated offerings, I think on the 2nd and 4th Sundays of this month. And that's all I have, if there's any questions.
And we'll have Kelly from MWR come up and talk about a couple things they have going on.
So who doesn't want to celebrate beer? We've got this brand new Sam Adams on base. So we're going to celebrate IPA Day. It's actually an international celebration, Indian Pale Ales. So if you're going to be at Sam Adams on Saturday, if you buy an IPA, you get to keep the glass, 1 glass per customer. But we're also going for the gold for the summer games. If you would like to come and watch the summer games at Sam Adams, we're going to have them on every day that we're open. But we want you to guess how many gold medals Team USA will win for the Olympics. And the winner gets huge prizes. Unfortunately, we're going to cut you off. So you really do have to guess. You have to guess by the 14th. The Olympics go through the 20th or 21st. So we'll cut you off on the 14th, and everybody who has entered, you've got to be 21 to enter the game. But we'll have all kinds of games the entire time that we're showing the Olympics over at Sam Adams. And then Craig Campbell is coming live in concert. We had this out on Facebook, and at the beginning it was kind of slow. We weren't quite sure if everybody knew who Craig Campbell was, but the closer we've gotten to the event, the more people are saying that they're going to attend it. So this should be a huge concert. It'll be outdoors over at Memorial Stadium. I would get there early if I were you. We've had folks ask if they can bring picnics, and sure, bring picnics. If you want to bring chairs to sit down on the lawn, you can do that. It should be a lot of fun. So that is on the 9th of August at 6 o'clock. It's a Tuesday evening. Next slide, please. If you were here last year, Grillin' and Chillin'. It's a barbecue contest that we do on base. So if you have a fantastic barbecue recipe, bring your Weber kettle out and throw some meat on the grill, and you can compete with the other folks. We've got some celebrity judges who will be tasting and deciding who the winners are. We'll also have some entertainment there. We'll have food trucks with food and beverages for purchase for that event. And then finally, this was the one thing that people have been asking about all year. When do the football tickets go on sale? So the way we do it is by lottery. If you go before Friday to the Leisure Travel Services office over in the Bowl Arena lanes or the Leisure Travel Services office in Sounders lanes over on McCord, you can fill out a slip and you put your name in the hat. That gets you into the drawing for an opportunity to purchase up to 4 Seahawks tickets. The base is a Seahawks season ticket holder. So we get tickets every year, and if we pick your name out of the hat, that gets you a place in line to purchase tickets. There are a couple of different tiers, and I know it's pretty small on the slide there, but a couple of different tiers. The prices for the games start at $95 a piece. So you can buy 1 ticket, you can buy 3 tickets, you can buy 4, but up to 4. But that gets you just a spot in line. We do it this way because in years past, we used to have folks camp out in the parking lot overnight. And so that's not good security-wise. So we would rather you knew in advance what your chances are getting tickets. So if you want a ticket, this is a good chance for you to go and maybe see a Seahawks game. Or if you're not a Seahawks fan, I totally understand. You want to see who's going to come and beat the Seahawks. You can maybe get those tickets too. Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly. All right. Okay. Commander's comments. Sir, do you have anything?
Okay, no, thanks to everybody for the information.
Okay. All right. Any last questions before we wrap up? We did this in record time today, so maybe I should MC this thing all the time. I don't know. Next community update is 7 September. Same place, same time. If there's no questions, we'll see you next month. Thanks.